Hey, listen, it's been a minute, hasn't it? It's been what 4 days? Ah, that's a minute. That's a minute. Listen, I wish I could post more often. There's a few things I kind of skipped over last time. The last video was political. This one will not be. But I thank you for all the people that actually watched it. It's one of those videos that I think is difficult to make because obviously it can be misinterpreted. It's very easy for a single part of that video, which is a whole 3 hour long event, to be taken out of context and then to just be put somewhere else, and suddenly you look like you're saying something that you're not. So I'm thankful to all the people that watched it. If you haven't watched it, I don't recommend it. Okay, if you haven't watched it, it's because you're just like, hey, listen, I don't want to get into any political conversations for whatever reason. Don't go there. Don't worry about it. It's not that important. What is important is that Xbox is dead. Um, Look, Xbox is dead. The the whole thing. I've heard people say that oh, the console is dead, but the brand is alive, and many other ways of like splitting the sims. But here's the thing: Xbox is the box. I don't care what Microsoft are trying to do with a Game Pass ecosystem or a Microsoft ecosystem or a this or a that. Xbox is the box. Just like PlayStation is the box. I don't care if Sony has a PlayStation on PC app, or I don't care if they have PlayStation Mobile. Remember when they had PlayStation branded Sony Ericsson phones and then those died? Did anyone even blink? Did anyone even think twice? Like, listen, at the core of a brand is usually either a product or a service. You can have spin offs of that, you can branch off from that, you can do very many things from that as long as your core is alive. When that core dies, okay, all of the branches that sprouted from it are also going to die eventually. Sometimes, when the trunk is cut from the tree, it takes the flowers and the branches a little while to realize that they are going to wilt. But from the moment that the trunk is cut, it is dead. It's a dead tree. Everything else that was growing from it, yeah, it might even bloom, right? If it was at the right stage, because there's still enough energy left in whatever is, remaining of the tree. But it's still dead. Okay? So Xbox has cut off its brand, it has cut off its legs, and it has decided that it's just not worth it. And the way that they decided to announce this to the world was with a marketing campaign. Hey, this is an Xbox. Now, they have one actual Xbox and one Xbox controller. Then they have a Samsung TV. The thing that annoys me about this, the thing that is so jarring about this branding is that, remember the days when you will go and you watch a show or you watch a movie and they will clearly have an Apple MacBook, but then they will put some kind of like pineapple or pear or something else to either, they will either mask it up in a, if it was a decent channel, they will just do like a pear at the back. They will mask it as a pear because they didn't want to pay Apple any kind of like royalties or something like that, or some kind of trademark infringement. Or if they were in a high production outfit, they will have an entire like cover on top of it. Like they will have a custom skin that they built so that it looked like something other than what it actually was. Usually not to win your immersion. Because if they're going to pull out an Apple MacBook in the middle of like a James Bond movie, you might have been taken aback, even though I think that that one can fit. But you understand the point. But now here they are plainly advertising that this is a Samsung screen. Like, why don't you just mask this away? Like, it just seems so jarring to me. Because if it was just a generic TV, it would kind of seem better. But now they're just literally touting other people's products. People always try to call me when I'm making a video. They're literally touting other people's products. Like they have the, what is this? This is the Ally, right? This is like the ROG Ally, I'm pretty sure. Um, or it could be any other handheld really that came out recently, like a Lenovo or whatever. Then they have over here, this one is a Lenovo again Legion laptop, just branded right there. And then over here is a Samsung Fold, and it's just, It's crazy. So, anyways, if you ever read or you watch fantasy shows, one of the most important things is your name, right? You're like in fantasy, in magic, having like a lock of your hair is a powerful thing because it gives them some kind of like metaphysical access to your body. But having your name, your soul name, that's powerful because that's access to your soul, that's access to your identity, that's access to the very core of your being. Now, if you bring it into the real world, if you want to enslave someone, or if you want to dominate someone, or if you want to conquer someone, not just on a physical level, but on a psychological level, the very first thing that you do is you take away their name. Now, there are a few ways to do that. The easiest and I guess the most effective is what the colonizers did, which is whatever your name is, regardless of whether they could pronounce it, they will give you another one. Preferably a name that is gibberish to you. Because what that does is that it supplants your identity and it makes it so that it's not even worth giving you something else that you can latch onto. It's not like a spy changing the name from like Jonathan to James, because that is still something that they understand. It would be like a person changing the name from like a Jonathan to a barcode number. Like it's so alien to you, it's such gibberish, it's such nonsense that what we're basically saying is your identity isn't even worth an alternative name. So when it comes to branding, what Xbox has done here is that they have diluted the name so much that it now means nothing. They haven't taken it away, but now they've made it meaningless. Because if everything is an Xbox, then nothing is an Xbox. Then Xbox itself has no value in that name because you don't care. I will not call my Samsung TV my Samsung Xbox. I would call it my Samsung TV. And in fact, many people who are gamers like ourselves, they are going to have a model of Samsung TV that they would have researched and they would have known. This, when they say like, oh, I'm gonna buy the Samsung QN98D or QN900D, they're not gonna go into the store and be like, hey, I want that Samsung Xbox though. They're gonna be like, nah, bruh, I want that Samsung QN900D because that's the one that I researched and I spent hours and hours and hours. And when they get it home, they're still not going to call it the Samsung Xbox. They're still going to call it that Samsung QN900D or whatever. I have a Sony A80J. Even if Xbox put their app on the Google TV platform and therefore on my Sony, I won't call it my Sony Xbox. I will call it my Sony A80J. I have something invested in the naming convention that Sony came up with because for months and months and months, I whittled it down and it finally came between three TVs. It was a LG G3 or G2, C3 or the Sony A80J. And that's after getting rid of many of the worthy contenders, many of the great TVs, including from Samsung. But the Sony A80J answered most of my priorities, except for maximum brightness. Let me tell you, man, if you got an OLED TV, make sure that you can control the light in the room. Because if you have a screen, some kind of window or like doorway behind it where a lot of light can come through during the day, you're not going to be able to see shit. I don't care, like, even if you're on the latest OLED technology. Like if you're mini LED, you're pretty good. But if you're on OLED, make sure that you can close curtains. Make sure you can just control the light in the room. It doesn't have to be, some kind of like dark cave. But just be able to control the light yourself according to what you need is going to be the best way to enjoy that TV. So getting back to this, according to Xbox, take a look at this. Take a look at this. First of all, who the fuck thought that this grid was a good idea? Who are these marketing people? You know what? When I see marketing like this, I would think to myself, man, I should work in marketing. Because if a multi-trillion-dollar company is being like hires these morons, then it's like, man, I could have, dude, I am sure that if two of you viewers, if two of you and me, and maybe one other person from like a marketing firm, actually get together, the four of us, we could come up with better shit than this in like, I want to say, about 11 seconds. I'm sure we could do it. I am sure we could do it. But this is what they did. This is the most laughable, most pathetic, most desperate, most confidence crushing ad I have seen in. I mean, this isn't just cringe. This is actually pathetic. You know, like people always talk about how they miss E3 because at E3 there will always be all of these you know, cringe moments and everything. But when you have an ad like this, it's like, what is this? What are we doing? Wow. No, it's actually crazy. So okay, let's go through it. You know, they went through all this effort. They paid these people millions of dollars so that they could give us this ugly ass patheticness. So let's just give them the courtesy of going through what they're trying to say. They say on the top left, this is an Xbox. Then this is an Xbox for your lap. This is an Xbox that tags along. Do you know what will make this actually good? If this were actual, at the very least, if this were like Microsoft products, why is the laptop not a Surface? It's like, do you know? Do you see what I mean by we could make this shit better in 11 seconds? Why are you showing a competitor's product for a product that you have in-house? At the very least, be slightly, just a smidgen less pathetic by at least putting your own product. Isn't that sad? Doesn't that just like crush you even more to realize that they couldn't even put a Surface laptop there or a Surface tablet there? Why couldn't they? Listen, instead of this cat box here, they could have put a Surface laptop here, right? And they could have put a Surface tablet here to at least illustrate the point that, hey, at Microsoft, we still have a Surface. But that's crazy. The Surface didn't surface in your ad. That is crazy. Hey, anyways, over here, this should have been an Xbox handheld. You know what this should have been? It should have just been like a shadow or something that is clearly like a handheld form factor, but just in a silhouette form. And it should have just said, this will be an Xbox. Do you see what I mean by saying that we could just make this shit better ourselves? Okay? Then they said, this is a cat box. That's supposed to be funny. Kids. I don't even know. What did they think? That we were gonna go like, it's a cat box. It's not an Xbox. Was that supposed to be the reaction? Like, oh my god, we were supposed to laugh with them, not at them, because they put a cat in a box and they were like, you thought we did this is an Xbox 3 times. Now we're gonna hit them with the switch up. This is a cat box. I'm sorry, I'm just being silly. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. It's just. Oh. Whew, okay. This is an Xbox that goes on the wall. They say about the TV, clearly showing Samsung branding. Ah, man. It's less pathetic than a cat. You gotta say that. You've got to say that. Then they say this is an Xbox that makes calls. And again, this just reminds me you don't have Windows Phone anymore. Never mind. Then they say this is a bento box. This is another one of them switch ups. You know, they just hey. They're like we broke the pattern. Hey, cool. Then the shield for Amazon. Here they are. This is an Xbox on the inside. Yep. If you open that up, you'll see an Xbox Series X chip right in there. It's great. It's great. That's the controller for, by the way. That's not a remote. That's a full controller. You don't need anything else. It's great. It's a great tile. Then they show the shield for Meta. This is just them. Oh man, this is just a bunch of devices that are more successful than the Xbox. You see that, right? Like over here we have a Lenovo laptop, more successful than Surface and more successful than Xbox, I'm sure. Over here you have the ROG Ally, I believe, or it could be another one. Oh no, actually this might be the MSI one. I think that's the MSI. Is it? Whatever, they're all one and the same. Okay, but this is again from another more successful competitor. Over here, a Samsung TV, obviously more successful than any Microsoft TV since it doesn't exist. Over here, a Samsung phone. Oh man, Microsoft has no shame. You know what I mean? They have no shame. How are you advertising a former competitor's product and being like, yeah, I'm proud of it? Like, at the very least, just have it on the side. Or just have a generic phone. Just have a generic phone. Just create a generic phone outline. Give it a generic made up screen. Put exactly what you put there, which is this Call of Duty thing. And then just let it be. Just let it be. People will still get the message that you can play Xbox on the phone, but you won't be shilling for a competitor. Now, do you see what I mean by we can make this better in 11 seconds, even if we still decide to run this ad? Why don't you just have generic products that do not have any brand recognition? Because unless it belongs to you, unless it comes from Microsoft itself, you shouldn't be advertising for other people. And anyways, this is a bento box. I'm sure this is also a real bento box from somewhere, but at least they didn't brand it. You know, at least it's not like, I don't know, sushi bento box or something. Go get it down at like your favorite one-way terminal at your favorite airport. I don't know. Why not brand everything now? Just brand. What brand is for this cat? I'm interested in this cat box. I have no cat, but since this cat box is nearly an Xbox, just give me the brand. Just advertise and chill for them. Just keep doing it. Why stop now? This is pathetic. This is an Xbox, okay? And then to somehow make things even worse, the final tile, the very last one, instead of just saying this is an Xbox, they said this is still an Xbox. Like, it somehow doesn't deserve to be, but hey, it gets... Oh, man. I'm sorry. I know you can go through many ways with that particular tile and be like, ooh, even this one's an Xbox. But I think you should have just said this is an Xbox. Because when it says this is still an Xbox, it just kind of feels like, yeah, you know, yeah, it's still an Xbox. Like, yeah. Oh, man. Hey, people are laughing at this online, but I just, hey, listen. I hope that this thing is real. I hope this isn't just some kind of made up. Because this isn't the time to use CGI now. I'm sorry. You should have used CGI when it came to these products over here. Okay, I hope that this bus stop over here, I hope this is a real thing. I hope this is a real ass bus stop that people really just go ahead. And the thing is, it says this is a bus stop where you play Xbox. Where is the Xbox? This would actually be such a cool thing. If you had these giant screens and people had like actual like, you know, controllers and they could play together. You could put Diablo 4 running on those screens. You could have player 1 on this side of the screen, player 2 on that side of the screen, split screen shit. You could have games where people can select, even like freaking FIFA or something. Just go ahead and put an actual Xbox with an actual controller. And then you still have like the scan in the middle, like bro. And you're thinking, well, Emmanuel, everybody would just steal it. Well, of course they would. Of course they would steal the controllers and the Xbox and they would damage it. Of course they would do that. Okay? Of course they would. That's not the point though. The point is, if you're going to go this far, commit. Commit to the idea. Listen, remember when God of War Ragnarok was being run through its marketing cycle? And then they had a giant axe in like the middle of London and shit. Like a giant fucking tall thing. You see how PlayStation committed to it? They were like, hey, we could have a thing where like a Kratos axe just seems like it broke through the realm and it like landed in the middle of like a big tourist hotspot and everything in like major cities around the world. But then instead of doing like a small little axe or a life-size axe, they did a gigantic one. That is how you commit to the marketing. Of course, people could have defaced that axe. People could have broken it. People could have tampered with it. People have put graffiti on it. People could have drawn penises on it. They took all of those risks because it was worth doing for the marketing campaign. And at the end of the day, I don't know if there was any vandalism towards any of those PlayStation props. But at least when it hit on social media, it was a hit. If you created an actual bus stop or a series of bus stops, create them in an area that is like a little bit like upper class, right? So that there's less likelihood of criminality. Okay, create them in front of like the Xbox or Microsoft headquarters, so that they can show your employees playing Xbox as they arrive for work in the morning or something. Put them in places like Disneyland where there's already like security or something, right? Just put some security guards around it. But the thing is, you only need this to be alive for like a day, just for the gram, just for the impact. After that, leave it up for as long as there's no vandalism, okay? Put a little bit of like cleaners and everything to keep things sanitary, and boom, you have a marketing campaign that goes off for like 30 days. Then you can collapse it back down and you can just go home. But the point is, on that very first day when everything is still pristine, you'll get a huge blow up online. Do you see what I mean by you and I could make this shit better in 11 seconds? That is crazy. I hope this is a real ass bus stop that they committed to and that they did. And if it is, I really hope that they went through the extra effort. They wired in some Series X's, they wired in some controllers, and they actually allow people to play. That would be a cool idea. That would be commitment. That would be something that PlayStation would do. If PlayStation created this kind of graphic, you best believe it would be an actual bus stop. Like, you and I don't have any concerns about that. We both know it would be actual. That's crazy. Listen. Over here, then they have the oh man. They even say the name of the fold. Like, you are literally basically paying Samsung to use their branding, to use their devices on your marketing campaign. Nasty work. Nasty work. And the whole time, what do you have for games coming? You have fucking Indiana Jones. Janky Jones, right? According to Jez. Oh man, I didn't even come up with that. Man. Let's see, what have I seen for Indiana? I've seen Janky Jones from Jez. I have seen Midiana Jones, that's from Podorock. I saw it in the chat, a good one. I don't even have a name for Indiana Jones, like, because I'm just like, this is not interesting, bro. It's just not interesting. It's just not interesting. Listen. How pathetic. How pathetic. Anyways, I want you to see my Xbox, okay? If everything is an Xbox, I want you to see mine. Because I always said that I had every single way of playing an Xbox in this house, but the Xbox itself. Well, it turns out that Microsoft has corrected me on that regard. I am a big enough man to admit when I am wrong. So therefore, let me show you my Xbox. It's big, it's beautiful, it's black. Okay, here she is. This is my Xbox. I want you to just take a moment to admire the fact that it is a Samsung device. And since Samsung devices are officially Xboxes, boom, there is my Xbox. You're welcome. Yeah, there's enough enough said. Hey, listen. The thing that has been most funny is to see this ad campaign come off the back of the Nerd Redline comment from what's his name? From Phil Spencer. He had an interview with Bloomberg and he basically said something to the fact that there will be Nerd Redlines with what they can and cannot put on other consoles. Okay? So it's man, it's funny. It is funny. You know what? We can take a look at this article together. I haven't read it yet, okay? I was so thoroughly impressed by the fact that I have an Xbox. But you know what? Let's just go through the article together. Why not? You and I, we're going to do this live. We're going to read the article. You know, so let's just go and take a look at it, right? So over here it says, after a tough year, Microsoft's video gaming chief is still looking at acquisitions and charting on how to compete and partner in the markets for handheld game devices and mobile stores. So here's my thing. First thing, handheld game devices. Microsoft, to my knowledge, has never confirmed that they will be bringing out a handheld device. Phil Spencer has said he's interested in it, but I will remind you that this is a guy that said he was going to bring high-end fidelity VR, and he didn't. Do not take his word for it. He is a liar, okay? Phil Spencer is a liar. Let's just agree with it. Let's accept it. Let's keep our hearts open to it, okay? And now as far as the mobile stores go, my question with the mobile store is this. Who wants it? PlayStation has had a mobile store, a mobile blah 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 division before, and it's gone nowhere. Xbox wants to have theirs. I don't think it will go anywhere, but we'll see. Okay, now over here he says that deals that add geographic diversity included in Asia might be worthwhile. And I want to talk a little bit about this, okay? Remember during the whole craze of like the 2020 or whatever, when Microsoft announced that they were going to buy Activision Blizzard? What I always used to say is, I don't want PlayStation to do the same. Because there were lots of people that were saying that PlayStation should do the same. I never wanted it. I have always believed that the best thing that someone like PlayStation can do is to partner up with people in who are basically indie studios or mid-sized studios in different parts of the world to bring that diversity, that content diversity, that voice diversity, that representation, that inclusivity to the platform, but also because it just allows you to grow. One of my things that I don't like about the idea of trickle-down economics in the real world is that people imagine that a super wealthy person will go down to like a local arts and crafts shop and will see a woman who is basically making maybe the equivalent of, let's say, $25,000 a year on her, little business that she's running. And they will go and they will very helpfully, out of the goodness of their heart, out of the desire to see other people succeed as well, they will go in there and either buy out the whole shop or they will pay way above what she's selling. Like if they see a piece of art and she'll be like, oh, this one costs $500, they'll be like, I'll give you 50,000 for it. And then they will, just out of the goodness, the purity of their heart, just the soul of mankind, the positive nature, they will go and then they will just lift them up. And then suddenly that person can find themselves doing business with more wealthy clients, hire more people, more staff, money that was from the top, trickled down, pumped it back up, and then we have now a wealthy, thriving middle class ecosystem. Everything's great. That's the promise. That's basically the promise. But it turns out to be a lie. What happens instead is that super wealthy people go to already other super wealthy people and businesses, and then they just shop there, right? Like a person, instead of going to like a local tradesman that makes like goods from leather, and they import it and they source it ethically, and they have very tiny margins, but they're kind of selling a premium product, so it's kind of hard for them to get a branding out there, to get a name out there, unless they come across some really huge windfall. Instead of going there, they will go to somewhere like, instead of going to a local aspect and spending something like $10,000, that will make a lot of a difference to that person. They will go to somewhere like a Hermes, and then they will spend something like $100,000. That will make no difference to the business of Hermes because they are already swimming in money. That's what they do. The rich spend within the rich circle, and they go to like Bentleys, and they go to like yachts, and they go to super expensive, already well-established businesses, like the Yves Saint Laurent, but not the version that you and I have access to, like obviously the outfit, like the actual good part of Yves Saint Laurent, not the one that they sell at the stores. That's crazy. They go to like the bespoke component, which is actually still haute couture. Okay, but that's where they're going to spend the money. So then the money never trickles down. Now, the same thing was happening with Phil Spencer, because they went as Xbox, who already belonged to Microsoft, which was already a $1 trillion company, and they went to buy out already $1 billion companies, already the ZeniMaxes, already the Activisions, companies that fundamentally would have been fine without them. Okay, instead of going like what they did to the small ones, like remember when they first kind of did this whole buying spree, they started very small with those studios. When they started with the people that made what's that ugly looking game, Psychonauts 2. Well, yeah, when they went to those guys and then they went to the five other studios around them or something like that, those were great purchases. No one ever said anything against those purchases because we understood that was exactly what they were doing. They went to the local person, the person that would struggle to make a game, and then they say, hey, you know what, let us acquire you, let's put some money into you. And that is perfectly fine. That's one way to do it. It's not my preferred way, but that's a good way to go about it, right? Let me bring you in, let's build up this business so that you can keep making the creative games and titles and projects that you want to do, but you no longer have to worry about will this sell or not. That was a great thing. I think that when they bought all of those games, including Ninja Theory, those were good things. Those were good moves to make. Again, not optimal. For me, what is optimal is closer to what PlayStation did with Kenna Bridge Your Spirits. Instead of acquiring them, just pay for the exclusivity, give them a bag, and then they are free after a period of time to go and shop around for other partners to put their games on other platforms. Same thing that they did with Kojima. Kojima recently announced that Death Stranding belongs to him and everything, which is a very smart move. Okay, Kojima now has the weight to be like, hey, you know what, my ideas, I want to own them, I want to be able to work freely with them. I'm including putting them on other platforms and everything like that I choose to. Fantastic. I hope that the people on Xbox fully enjoy Death Stranding. But you take a look at things like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, it's on Xbox now. So what happened there is that you had a very small studio that needed a cash injection. You injected it with cash. You got your benefit out of it because it was exclusive for a while. But then ultimately, they keep their idea, they keep their IP, they keep their options open with other partners. The studio that made Kenna Bridge of Spirits could conceivably go and work with an exclusive Microsoft product next because they are not tied down. And that's something that PlayStation has done for ages. So while they were saying that they wanted, all these people were saying that, oh, PlayStation should buy this, should buy that, should buy Square Enix, should buy... No. Why would you go and buy Square Enix? Square Enix is fine. Square Enix complains all of the time. They lament how the products aren't selling enough. But we all know that they're selling tons. They're just greedier than that. But fundamentally, their business is fine. They have like one of the most popular MMORPGs in Final Fantasy 14, I think. Right? They have like one of the most popular single player games in, again, Final Fantasy 7 and 16 and everything. Those products are doing great. It's just that they want more money than that. That's perfectly fine. But that doesn't mean that Sony should go and give them that money. Right? So again, for me, partnerships makes a lot more sense. If Phil Spencer is to go into Asia or Africa or India or anywhere else, I hope that they don't look to acquire, but I hope that they look for exclusivity. Because if you're going to do a cash injection into these smaller developers and you are a business, you need to get something out of it. Okay, so either it's ownership of the IP, which basically means exclusivity forever, or it is simply a temporary exclusive deal. Because let's face it, the whole Game Pass deals, they're not doing Game Pass deals like that no more. And they have no need to because they now have Call of Duty. I'm sorry, but what small indie game is going to compete on the Game Pass platform versus a Call of Duty? Like, boy, come on. Who's even going to download it now? You have too many big juggernauts up there now. So in any case, I do hope that they do have geographic diversity going forward. I just hope that they go about it the right way, the optimal way, which is partner with smaller studios, give them the cash injection, receive your temporary exclusive for a year, 2 or 3 or 5, whatever it takes, and then the industry can keep growing and keep getting bigger. Because Phil Spencer always talks about growing the industry, but very few of his moves actually go on to grow the industry. When he bought Activision Blizzard and now he's fired something like 2,000 to 3,000 developers, also not developers, but 2,000 or 3,000 staff, was that growing the industry? I don't think so. I think instead, partnering with people who are currently at the bottom or the mid-level and helping them grow into the next EA or Ubisoft or Bungie without any corporate oversight from you necessarily because they don't fall down your downline, I think that there is the best way to grow the industry. Okay, so let's continue. Okay. We definitely want to be in the market, and when we can find teams that technology and capability that add to what we're trying to do at Microsoft, absolutely we'll keep our heads up. Okay. Now, there's no imminent, very large deal or something. Can I just say, Phil Spencer isn't looking good. This man is. There is clearly something wrong, and this isn't me trying to make fun of it at all. I'm not. I'm not saying that at all to make fun of him. Phil Spencer looks like he needs to take a break from his position, and he needs to take care of himself, because we can see his skin. We can see that his skin is not clear the way it used to be. We can see that he's lost weight in a tremendous, like, it's been tremendous, tremendously small window of time. He's lost a lot of weight, which is, hey, listen, if that was part of his goal, or if that is a happy accident or whatever he's going through, then great. But everything that you see here is just, well, he needs to take care of himself. I don't know if it is the stress from being on top of Microsoft gaming. I don't know if it's other aspects of his jobs. I don't know if it's something with his health. God knows. I hope he doesn't, have some kind of like terrible illness. But hey, listen, step away from this game. Listen, Phil Spencer, as a human being, I can say I want you to be fine, and I want you to be great, and I want you to obviously be healthy. That's definitely true. But also, as a person who will be interested in your products, you were never good at this anyway. Let this go, get your health back, and then you've made millions. You've made millions. Go off into the sunset. Just go on. Go. Move forward. Move forward, I say. You'll probably be like another executive for, how these executives are, in all of these like Silicon Valley places and things like that. Like they go from one failed business to another business that will eventually fail at anyway. So you'll probably be like CEO of Colgate or something. Like just go ahead and just get to the next job. Okay, but anyways, enough about himself. Let's continue. Okay, so Microsoft wants to diversify the teams working on Graves, look at Age of Empires, blah blah blah. Okay, creative teams. I'm just going to move forward. And talk about the parts that matter. Okay, so in the coming months, designers and engineers will focus on making Xbox app work better on existing portable devices and partner with hardware makers to make sure the products sync with Xbox games and experiences. The Xbox app right now is good rather than great on some of these gadgets. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know who this is for. Companies, for the longest time, have insisted that somehow mobile is going to be the next frontier from a console gaming standpoint. But I feel like the delta, the void between console gaming and mobile gaming is far greater, exponentially so, than the gap between PC gaming and console gaming. PC gamers and console gamers, for the most part, we agree that we want qualitative experiences that don't necessarily milk and dine us for every single microtransaction in the book. Now, I say that because, man, there are a lot of exceptions. Like what the PC crowd has accepted with Valorant. Oh my god! And I mean, Valorant is on PlayStation and Xbox now, right? So it's on console. I mean, that's just disgusting. The whole, Team Fortress 3 and everything. But even then, at least there has been some kind of acceptance for great indie games. Things like the Hollow Knights, things like the Hades. There's substantive, qualitative, quality games on both PC and console in a way that they just aren't the same on the mobile. Like I just played Monument Valley on mobile, and it is a fantastic game. It's one of the greats. But what sells on mobile are the Candy Crushes and the gacha games and the this and the that. And a lot of that is driven by the Asian market, which is a lot more portable friendly and accepting. And a lot of them are so okay with gacha games in the culture. So the other thing is simply this. Nobody really wants to watch a movie on their phone. People do it, but we all accept that's not acceptable. Like think about it. There's nothing that your TV does that your phone cannot do. Except maybe if you're still one of those people that watches cable for some reason, like that's just sad. But aside from that, especially because there's many apps now for those places anyway. Your TV is literally just a bigger screen that is less versatile than your phone screen. So if people really didn't care about where they watch movies and shows, they wouldn't need to have a TV. I've often said that if it wasn't for gaming, I don't even know if I will have a TV because there's nothing else that I consume, or partake in that I think is worth the amount of money and time and dedication and place in my house that I've put for my TV. Like sometimes I fantasize about what it would be like to just have a TV-less home, just have art on the wall. That would just be so fun. But again, I've got to get my gaming in, therefore big ass TV. So people don't want to watch movies off of just their phone screen, therefore they have TVs. Okay, but I think even more than that, people do not want to play off of a phone screen. And the thing that annoyed me, about this whole ad that they had for, oh, this is an Xbox, is that it was almost as if they thought they were really revealing it to us for the first time. Like, oh my God, you can play Xbox on your phone. Guys, realize this. This is an Xbox. Dude, we've been able to do this forever. Forever. This is another thing that annoys me with like Game Pass advocates and Game Pass people. Game Pass fans, like the super fans, I'm not talking about the fans that simply like Game Pass and they use Game Pass. Not you, you guys are cool. Okay? And also, just to make it clear, I have no issue with Game Pass. My issue is with Game Pass day and date. But that's besides the point. Okay? The people that are like champions of Game Pass, they always want to make it seem like we just don't realize what Game Pass is. You've heard it for, what is it, nearly like, Game Pass has been out for 7 years, but it was really since like 2018 that they just kept going with the same refrain, the best value in gaming. We've heard it over and over and over again. And it's almost like they think that, once the casual market realizes how great Game Pass is, it's like, boy, people know what Game Pass is. They just don't want it. Accept it. Open your heart to it. People just don't want what Game Pass is. They know everything. Stop trying to explain it to us. Don't explain it to me. Don't explain it to them. They know about the day and date. They know it. They know about the hundreds of games you can access. They know. They know about the cost. They even understand the subscription tiers. Don't worry, they're not that complicated. I mean, they're more complicated than they need to be, but they're not that complicated. If you're on console, get Ultimate. If you're on PC, get PC Game Pass. At the end of the day, it's that easy. It's fine. I know it. You know it. They know it. Stop trying to act as if we just needed to know it. And I feel like Microsoft thinks the same. They just think, oh my God, if people realize they can play Xbox games on the laptops and the phones, they will be able to have this huge surge in popularity. No, we know. We just don't want to. Oh man. Sometimes I have a friend. My friend has a friend. That friend met some guy, okay? They met some guy and she went chasing after this guy hard. And I mean hard. Like, imagine the most desperate, sad, but funny way a girl could chase after a guy. Talking about how pretty she is, how intelligent she is, the things that she can do in bed for him. Everything she said. Bro, I wouldn't be surprised if she mentioned how much she could cook. But when I say she said everything that a woman could possibly do to and for a man, to this man, and he still rejected her. Boy, I want you to understand it was sadder than what I'm saying. I'm not going to go into details, but it was sad. Okay? So listen. That man, he saw her and he knew she was a woman. He knew she was pretty. He knew she was intelligent. He knew that she could do freaky things in bed. She could do freaky things in the kitchen. Hey, listen, he knew the whole enchilada. And he still said no multiple times, repeatedly. Game Pass fans. Game Pass is that girl for most people. We know what Game Pass can do. We know it. We know when Game Pass spreads its legs, we can have day-and-date games. We just don't want the games. We know that when Game Pass bends over, we can have hundreds of... I'm sorry. I was gonna... I wanted to stick the landing there, but I couldn't do it. Okay, the point is, listen, we know what Game Pass does. We know what it is. We know everything about Game Pass. We just don't want it. And when I'm telling you guys that this guy went out of his way, he even lied to her, like, just so that she would leave him alone, and she just wouldn't. She was, boy, it's like these Game Pass fans. It's like sometimes you just feel like saying like, I have Game Pass. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I have it. I have it on PlayStation because I have PlayStation Plus, which is exactly as Game Pass minus the day and date. Yes, I know what the difference is. I know it. I just don't want it. You just don't have games that are worth Game Pass for. You don't. It's fine. All of us have decided that. You guys have like what, 30 million subscribers? That's it. That's who wants it. Accept that you are unwanted. And again, let's just can we not skip over the fact that those 30 million subscribers are not concurrent? Can we not skip over that fact? Because that's a very generous thing that we do, where we never mention that these are concurrent users, and we always pretend like these are somehow all of the users all at the same time, even though we all know that this is a cumulative total that they gave us, because they never once said that, hey, these are the concurrent users on Game Pass. Never, not once. And I promise you, if they had as few as 20 million concurrent subscribers, they would shout out from the rooftops. Game Pass is a girl that was rejected, despite the fact that she abased herself to be like, I can do all of these things for you, and we still didn't want it. Let's continue with our toy, okay? Now, over here, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about handheld devices, okay? Now, the company's planned online store for games, blah, 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 has been delayed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sure, whatever. They're gonna have Candy Crush and Call of Duty, whatever that means. Nobody cares about your online store. Okay, so, here we are, okay? Here we go. After releasing the first batch of Xbox games for Sony's PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, Spencer is pleased with the results. Microsoft will do more of that, he said, and won't roll out any game in Microsoft's stable. And this has been the 1-2 punch. This red line comment, I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not. Listen. This means everything is coming. There are no red lines. And this is something that people have been telling Xbox fans for the longest. Podrock said it best. He said, if exclusives are there to sell consoles, okay, and you already have your console, and you have exclusives for that console, and it is not selling, how do you think you're going to sell a console with less exclusives than you had before? Because once you give it away to PlayStation, that's just more reason for people to not buy your product. So if you were to come up with another console, which I'm sure they will, by the way, I hope that they do. I've always been a proponent of Xbox not doing what they did with Windows Phone and Zune and just giving up just because the going got tough. Okay? But here's the thing. We have to acknowledge that they will be trying to sell another console with less exclusives than they had before. Unless they are going to pivot. But from everything that this man is saying, as long as he remains at the head, Xbox isn't pivoting. He said that there's no red lines. Believe me, if Halo wasn't going to be on PlayStation, he would be like, hey, listen, there will be a sacred core of Xbox games that identify our platform that we will not see go on PlayStation or Switch. He will say it from the rooftops. When he says this is like the soft blow, but really this is a stab in the front, because you should have seen it coming. If this comment, Xbox fan, if this comment somehow came as a stab in the back to you, that means that you've been turning your back on reality for the longest. because everything that has happened ever since this accursed Activision purchase has pointed to exactly this moment. Every single thing. Remember when Activision games were supposed to be exclusives? Remember when Bethesda games were promised to be only on platforms where Game Pass exists? And yet we're going to get Bethesda and ZeniMax games now on PlayStation? That is crazy. Everything. This cannot be a stab in the back to you. You only have yourself to blame, okay? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, can get fooled again. Okay, listen, all right? That is a George Bush quote. I just wanted you to know that. I did that. So, anyways, what you see here is the fact that everything is going to come to PlayStation. Everything is going to come to Switch. The only two things that will stop games from coming to either PlayStation or Switch are going to be, number one, technological limitations, especially in the case of the Switch, or number two, developer capacity, which is how quickly can you port these games over, how familiar are these developers with the platform, so on and so forth. Okay, so listen, over here he says that the Xbox business has never been more healthy. Nah, bro, it's a dying branch, bro. It is dying. The Xbox business is dying. Do not believe Phil Spencer, because these executives will never tell you like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Remember Samsung? We just spoke about my beautiful Samsung Xbox over here. My Series Wash, as I call it. That's what it is. By the way, I've got to empty my Samsung Series Wash after this and put clothes on the line, but I love my Xbox. I love it. I love it, you know. Put me through a tumble, but hey, you know what? I got dry in the end. Hey, listen. Samsung created the NX camera at some point, okay? The Samsung, I think it was called this NX camera. Samsung NX camera, okay? And it was called NX because it was supposed to pronounce Nex, okay? And I want you to know that this was a brilliant camera. Absolutely brilliant, okay? It's one of those cameras that in the future, when I have a little bit more desire for it, I really hope to be able to even, what is it? I really hope to even be able to collect it, to serve as a collector's item. You know, that's something, you know, I think it came out in 2013. And let me show it to you, okay? So here we are. So here is kind of like the front of it. You know, as you can see, the NX1 there, okay? And you see it has a Samsung lens and everything like that. So they went all out, right? Very DSLR shape. This looks like a professional body and everything like that. And then the biggest advantage it has, look at this. It had Android built in. I want you to know that this is something I want Sony to do. I want you to know that this year was a great decision. Now, should they have had so little actual physical controls? Absolutely not. But that's something that they could have fixed in the NX2. But what they had there was a great idea. From this camera, you could conceivably post and share to Instagram, to, you know, Flickr, to freaking Google Plus. You know, I don't know if Google Plus was still the same back then. You could share to Twitter directly from the camera with a good Wi-Fi connection, a fast operating system. It was a great idea. It was an idea that is so far ahead of its time that 11 years later, I think only one other person has done even a version of it, but nothing on a big scale. Nothing on a big scale. Canon hasn't done it. Nikon hasn't done it. What's his name? Sony hasn't done it. All of the big players, Fujifilm, they haven't done it, but they should do it. They should do it because camera software is fucking atrocious. And having it built on a Android backbone will be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay? I could easily take this camera, okay, with Samsung's blessing, and I, even as a mid-level photographer that I am, I could create a product that the pros would like. In terms of the interface, in terms of the software, in terms of the how intuitive it is. Like, you could literally have a moment where a person could connect this through an app to their own website and publish there directly. Oh my God, it would be phenomenal. You could have like New York Times and everything like that have a custom app for their journalists where they can just upload directly from the camera. Don't have to wait to get all the way back in the hotel room in order to send things live. It would tremendously simplify the workflow for so many professionals. And I'm telling you, especially outfits like newspapers and reporters and TV crews, they will pay through the nose in order to be able to equip their staff with such a camera. All because you have just built it on Android. So they came up with this camera and it was fantastic. I mean, look at this, okay? It came up with some lenses, starter lenses, sure, but you'll get better from there. And then do you know what they did? They killed it. They killed the camera. That's why you haven't heard of it, right? They shouldn't have, but they did. But do you think that they came out and they told people that they were killing the camera? No. They just quietly exited the market, and when they were last asked about it, they were like, oh, we have put it under consideration. What I want you to know is that these companies never tell you when the product is dead. They never say it, okay? I am sure that there was no official announcement, for the death of Windows Phone. It was more like, oh, we might pause, or, we might reconsider or something like that. But to be outright like, yeah, this is dead, that is incredibly rare. Usually the only time when a company will come out and say, hey, this is dead, is either when they are going bankrupt or when they have a substantially better product in their estimation to put in front of you. So listen, if you're an Xbox fan, know that this marked the death of Xbox. This wasn't just the final nail in the coffin. This was really them pissing on the grave. Because on one hand, within a week, you have the software side where Phil Spencer is basically saying there's no red line, everything is going to competitors on console. And then on the other side, you have the hardware side that is bastardizing the name of Xbox. What is there left? If you have no exclusives and your hardware isn't cared for, what else do you have? You have nothing. Xbox is dead. Now listen, it can be resurrected, okay? Listen, Jesus came out from the tomb, right? There have been plenty of products in life that have been resurrected, okay? Take a look at the Mac Mini. For a long time there, the Mac Mini was just like this little side project bastard thing that nobody cared about. Now, with the latest Mac Mini, people are like, whoa, wait a second, this is like super powerful. If I was in the running to replace my desktop, I'm telling you, I would look hard at the Mac Mini, because when I think about my colossal, and I have a giant, like the size of my PC is like, I have to put it on screen. It's big, okay? I have a Lian Li O11 XL, like that is O11 DXL or whatever. So you can go and take a look at the dimensions of it. But when I think that a Mac Mini, something that is like smaller than the size of a side plate like this, right? It's smaller than this. Oh, well, there it is on screen. It's smaller than, sorry, I was eating something, okay, before I just don't know about it. Okay, but the point is, the Mac Mini is smaller than like my tissue box. Yet, it can rival the performance for the things that I care for as to my big ass tower desktop. I'm sorry, but that's compelling. Because then I don't need an extra place to stand it. I can just put it on the desk right in front of me. Whew. And that there is what I think Apple reviving, bringing back from the dead, their Mac Mini. So, Xbox could come back, and I hope that it comes back next generation. But for us to move forward, we first have to realize where we are. And where we are right now is that Xbox is dead. That's it, that's all, okay? That sucks. I have never been one of those people that tell you that, we need Xbox there so that Sony can compete. No, it's not about them competing with PlayStation. It's about me getting more product, me seeing more innovation, me seeing the tech advance exponentially, because now there is 2 or 3 people trying to advance things forward. I don't care about them competing with one another. There is nothing that Xbox can do in my imagination that will ever make me turn from PlayStation. The only people that can turn me from PlayStation is PlayStation themselves. So I don't need Xbox to compete with PlayStation. I just want Xbox to exist and compete for my money and my time. That's what I want them to do. I don't care about this corporation. People are like, oh, you know, with that Xbox, Sony is gonna be more greedy. Let them be greedy, and then let them see what happens. Sony has been greedy before. They came out with the PS3 at $600, and Xbox was there. Xbox didn't stop them from coming out with a $600 PlayStation 3. But do you know what made them change course? The market, the people, the gamers. We are what hold this company accountable, not each other. Okay? The way that you know that, let me tell you how you know that. Samsung and Apple exist, right? They are both offering competing products, right? But if you want to get the highest end products, what price are you going to pay? Nearly $2,000, if not more, right? So you see that them existing in competition with each other doesn't stop them from doing anything egregious. You take a look at Apple, right? And you take a look at any Apple MacBook or MacBook Pro or Mac Mini or Mac Studio or whatever you want, right? Yeah. All of those all of those products have competitors equivalent on the PC side. In fact, they have heaps of competitors, right? The Lenovo's, the Toshiba's, the freaking the Microsofts, right? When they remember that they have their own devices, the Dells, the Asus, the MSIs, they have so many competitors, but yet try to upgrade the RAM on a Mac on an Apple product from one tier to another. Be surprised if you're not paying $250 to $400 more every single time you want to just get more and more RAM. It never costs that much if you just pay for it a la carte. Never does it do that. It is an incredibly bad value proposition. It is an exorbitant price jump. And yet Apple has tons of competitors. So you see that competition in the way that people say it, that is a fallacy. It's the same as trickle-down economics. It's a thing that people say and it sounds right until you think about it for longer than 11 seconds. So I don't need Xbox to keep Sony in line because they will never do that. They have never do that, and competition from these corporations, it doesn't do that. They don't keep each other in line. What they do is compete in terms of offering products to you, and you decide, hey, which one of these is worth my time? That's it. PlayStation did not adjust the price of the $600 PlayStation 3 because Xbox had like a $300 console. They didn't care about that. They adjusted the price because people didn't buy their product. If people have bought the PlayStation 3 to the same numbers as they bought the PlayStation 2, do you think they would have adjusted the price? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? No. Just like with Apple right now, people are paying the exorbitant price tag for the Apple iPhone Pro Max. So they don't care to adjust the prices just because Samsung exists or anyone else exists for that matter. People pay for it. The market is like, yep, we're good. So therefore, they're going to stay right there. They don't care to drive the price down. Matter of fact, they put the price up. So you see, you've got to be careful about what it is that you say, because I think that these words matter. I think they matter. I want Xbox to exist because I want another avenue to see what another person can do when they have the money, the talent, the drive to do it. That's it. Just another option. That's what I want it for. Not to make my PlayStation better or worse, just because it would be nice to have another option. But that's it. That's all it is. And listen, if Xbox wants to stay dead, if Microsoft wants to keep killing their platform, so be it. I will still have my PlayStation. Okay? And again, people, listen. If you want to hold Sony accountable, hold them accountable. If there's something that they do that you don't like, you hold them accountable. Don't leave it to Microsoft to hold them accountable, because clearly Microsoft is one bad advertising campaign away from saying that a PlayStation is an Xbox too. So, at the end of the day, Xbox is dead. Now, before we go, I wanted to talk about one more thing. Let's bring it to PlayStation. Over here, you see that Astro Bot has sold 1.5 million copies to date. Okay? Now, forget about this whole part over here because I couldn't be bothered to go finding the original tweet. Okay? I said all the way back, I said that this is exactly what was going to happen. Okay, I said that Astrobot wasn't going to convince people that somehow they were going to be a top seller, that they were going to somehow save the platformer genre. Okay, I can't even search my post. Listen, when you're on desktop, I don't even know how to search my own posts so that I can just see what I posted. Like, it is so, Twitter is, oh man, it's so shit, man. Hey, listen, I wish I could show you the post, but I've shown it before in another video where I talked about the impact that Astrobot was going to have. Okay, and the truth is that I said it from the beginning. Astrobot wasn't going to sell millions of copies. But what I want to talk about is, if you listen to fans of critiquing Sony, they would tell you that, hey, we want diversity, we want variety, but they don't. And just like I've said all of the time, these people don't want what they say they want. Don't listen to them. They are grifters, they are liars, they are misbegotten, or they are somehow hurt PlayStation fans. I don't know what it is with them, but they are not being truthful about what either they want or what the mass public wants. Astrobot is a game so good that for me, it is the best platform I've ever played. For me personally, it is a wonderful 10 out of 10. It is witty, it is charming, it is bright, it is colorful, it is funny. It's just full of heart and passion. It breaks away from the mold that people say that PlayStation games have. They say that that's what they want them to do. But in reality, you see that only 1.5 million copies sold. And I'm telling you, I will be surprised if Astrobot sells more than 5 million lifetime sales. And by lifetime, I mean over the first 5 years of his existence. I will be surprised. Now, eventually, it's going to be played a lot more than 5 million people because they're eventually going to PlayStation Plus, so on and so forth. That's cool. But I'd be surprised if it has more than 5 million lifetime sales. Again, people don't want variety. They don't want diversity. What they want is the same shit they've been playing, the same AAA garbage games. I bet you that a game like Star Wars Outlaws sold more on the PlayStation platform alone, right? Just on PlayStation, they sold more than 1.5 million copies. I've always said this. People would rather have a mediocre AAA game than a stunning indie-like or indie-level game. Straight up. Stop listening to these grifters and liars online saying that, oh my god. And you know what they say? What they themselves say? Like, oh, did you play Astrobot? I play it later. I'll pick it up later. Oh, it didn't look that good to me. I wasn't that interested. Similarly, Lego Horizon just came out. Listen. Would it surprise anyone here? Anyone listening to me right now? Would it surprise you if Lego Horizon sells more on the Switch than it does on the PlayStation? Would it surprise you? People say that they want PlayStation to have all of this diversity, but when they come up with variety and diversity, this is the reception that they get. And then they'll be like, oh my god, why did they close Sony Japan? Because Sony Japan was doing even worse than Astrobot is. Because Sony Japan, listen, Lego Horizon has a good chance of selling more than Gravity Rush 1 and Gravity Rush 2. It has a good chance, simply because it's on the Switch. Because people on PlayStation don't want these games. I want their games. I played Astrobot. I platinumed it. I loved it. I bought it day one. But I'm not preaching to the choir about, oh my god, I want diversity. No, I don't. I appreciate it. I'm thankful that it is there. I never thought that Sony had a problem with it. I like the Sony formula. Okay, I've said it many times. If you call the whole third-person, narrative-heavy, bow and arrow, over-the-shoulder, cinematic as fuck, if you call all of that a Sony formula or a PlayStation formula, know that this is baby formula. It sells. It sells that baby formula. And I am very happy with the baby formula. Again, if you're going to put a derogatory spin on it, then know that I don't care. Anyway, those are the games I want to play. Ghost of Yote, I will play. I'll play it. And you'll play it. And all of those detractors will play it. All of those proponents of diversity, I bet you more of those people that talk about, oh, Sony needs to be diverse, more of those very same people are going to buy Ghost of Yote than they bought Astrobot. Then they are going to buy Lego Horizon. And these are just two in the latest of games. You know, freaking Astro's Playroom came installed on the console. And I will be surprised if it has been played by more than like a third of PlayStation owners or PlayStation 5 owners. And when I say played, I mean for longer than 4 hours. I would be surprised if that has happened. Genuinely, I believe that maybe, I want to say 5 to 10 million people played it, even though it came free on the box. You know, people always say that, oh, Sony's so greedy. They gave you a game for free. No one gives them props. People say that, oh, they don't have any diversity. Astro's Playroom was a huge difference from all of the PlayStation formula, right? Astrobot came and doubled down on that, right? Lego Horizon is hugely different, right? All of these games that they do that are diverse and that are creative and that are passion projects, you guys don't support. Even when the game is given to you gratis, for nada. So I'm tired of that conversation. The next time you hear someone say that Sony somehow should deviate from the formula, understand this. The biggest joke and the biggest lie that has been told recently is this idea that companies, especially Sony, don't listen to their fans. That could not be further from the truth. They listen to you. In fact, they are the best at listening to you. The only difference is that they listen to your actions, not your words. Because when they see that only like, I don't know, maybe, oh my God, if we're being really, really gracious, maybe 20 million people played Astrobot for longer than 2 hours. Maybe one Astrobot over here will sell like 1.8 million copies this year. Maybe, right? When you see that games like Kena Bridge of Spirits were embraced, you know, games like Stray were embraced by what is ultimately a small section of the gaming community, what else do you want them to do? And yet they put a AAA game in front of you and it sells like hotcakes. And then they see third-party stuff as well. Because remember that this is PlayStation itself. They have control over the entire platform. This is what I mean by Sony listens to you more than you will ever know. Because they don't just have to listen to you with their games. Like if Ubisoft publishes the Star Wars Outlaws on PlayStation, they will obviously get the data back. But they will get the data back for their game and their titles. They're not going to get data on Rockstar's games. They're not going to get data from PlayStation on freaking Activision's games. They're going to get data for their stable of games. That's what they have entitlement to. But PlayStation is the marketplace. They get data on everyone. So when they see that a game that is 60 rated on Metacritic, like Starfield, okay, let's come here. Let's be honest. You and me, let's be honest. When Starfield is eventually released on PlayStation, even though we all know it's a garbage game, how quickly do you think it will sell more than 1.5 million copies? What, hours? It will probably have more pre-orders, right, on PlayStation than sold copies for Astrobot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it had something like 5 million pre-orders within a day. And that is a game that has been lambasted all over the internet. The Metacritic is low, the user score is low, on Steam it is low. How many YouTube videos have you seen? Entire exposés on how garbage Starfield is. I'm not the only one to say it. There's people that have made 6-hour videos that break down Starfield to the atomic level and they show you how it is garbage through and through. And it will sell more copies than Astrobot does, which is a game that people even say isn't a Game of the Year contender. By the way, I don't think that Astro Bot should be a Game of the Year contender. It's my Game of the Year. I don't think it should be Game of the Year. Just so you know, again, I'm not delusional about Astro Bot. Listen, it's a great game, but I just don't think it's going to make it to Game of the Year. If it does, hey, you know what? I'm a big enough man to admit that I was wrong. But again, I don't think it will be there. Do not put me in those people that are saying that. I don't believe it. But that's what people are saying. And I guarantee you that despite Starfield's obvious failure, it will outsell Astrobot in a heartbeat. Because you guys need to know what the difference between you and the market at large is. I will never play Starfield. Oh my goodness, I hope I never do. But I know that Starfield on PlayStation is going to answer Astrobot. I know it. I know it just the way that I know that the Earth is round. I don't even need to be told. I always thought the Earth was round. What else would it be? Oh my God. Spherical, I should say. It's spherical. It's spherical. Listen. I'm tired of the lies. The gaming community lies so much. So much. And what I hope is that this channel, this conversation that you and I are having, can just expose the truth, no matter how harsh it is. If it sounds harsh to you that any sufficiently popular failed AAA game will come in and destroy Astrobot, then that's okay. That's alright. But let it be known that it is true. That's simply it. We just got to accept the truth as it is. Accept the world as it is, not how we wish that it was, and then we'll all be better off. So stop lying to yourselves by saying that, oh, companies don't listen to you. They do. They do. They listen to you in ways that you probably wouldn't even accept if you could see all of the ways that they are listening, right? Like all of these spy devices that we carry around, all of these apps that mine for our data, all of these location services that are always turned on. These companies listen to us to an uncomfortable level. Sony does it too, especially for their platform. Like, you know that Sony knows how much you use their UI, right? Like, they don't just know which games you launched or whatever. They know how often you go to the store. They know how often you spend on certain tasks. They know which colors attract you to click on one thing versus another. They know what kind of menu music you prefer. They know your settings. They know you. They listen to you. Poor. Listen, they don't even need to spy on you personally to know everything about you and your gaming habits. That's just PlayStation. Listen, if you go to a store, or to the PlayStation store, and you look at any tile, Sony is tracking that. They know. They know. So again, stop lying to yourself. Like when you go and you didn't even wishlist Astrobot, you don't think that they take that into account? Like people are like, oh, we want an Astrobot too. Okay, I want it too. But should you get it? Should we get it? When this is it? When this is a level of a 90+ Metacritic game, a game that is again being lauded by everyone that plays it, but still it has such a minimal impact. I saw I was working Crash had a bet with someone that Astrobot was going to outsell Black Myth Wukong. Listen, the bet isn't over. Black Myth Wukong has sold, eons of copies or whatever. I'm not sure if any of those numbers have ever been confirmed. Because sometimes, things take a life on their own on Twitter. You can't really trust it. Because I've seen the 20 million number being floated around. I don't know if that was an official statistics. Because again, sometimes things just get floated in the air and everything. But I'm going to stand on this. I could have told King Thrash from the outset that there is no way Astrobot was ever going to answer Black Myth. Listen, I could be wrong, right? Like, we could come out to, I think he said to next August or whatever. And, listen, Astrobot has taken off. And, hey, listen, again, I will be proven wrong. That's fine. But, again, don't trust these people, bro. Black Myth Wukong could have come out to be the jankiest game. Could have had ideas that just never melded together. Could have had huge issues with his performance, with his story, with his gameplay. And he still would have outsold a phenomenal stellar game like Astrobot, because people aren't interested, because these people aren't real gamers that are in it for the love of it. They are tourists, they are visitors, okay? They come to gaming to get their rocks off and then they just want to go home, okay? And they are not interested in being, creative or in the art or the medium. You hear the way that people talk about gaming, like as if it was the cheapest thing, as if it was a zero end game, as if only the money mattered, right? That's why they're so mad about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Because every time you tell them like, hey, let's not talk about the money, because that's an individual choice. People want to be like, oh my god, you're so bougie, you're so extra. You want to pretend that money doesn't matter, that people don't have budgets. No, but I don't. I know money is an issue. Money is an issue for me. I don't have a PS5 Pro. But again, I'm just also cognizant of the fact that that is a personal decision. I can't talk to you about the cost of a PlayStation 5 Pro, just like I can't talk to you about the cost of a $70 game, because at the end of the day, it's up to you to make the best of your money, of your investment, of anything that you wanted to make it. But as soon as you want to talk about that, no, because they don't respect games. They don't respect gaming. Again, you go to any other hobby on this planet, any other hobby. Do you see people badmouth like the price of like a Hermes Birkin bag? Do you see people badmouth like the price of like a Rolex Daytona? And when I say people, I don't mean people from the outside in. I mean people that are actually in the hobby of collecting these things, of appreciating these things, of liking these things, of desiring these things, of wanting these things. They're just like, yeah, that's the price of it. And then they are going to make a personal decision. Some of them will only ever look at those items as aspirational. Oh, I wish I could get this. Oh, I wish I could get that. That's nice. One day I'll work my way up to earning that Rolex, or earning that Mercedes car, or earning this or earning that. Cool. Those are aspirational items to them. But in gaming, we are not allowed to have aspirational items. Everything must be the cheapest, most affordable thing, garbage thing that you can produce, because we don't want to aspire to a PlayStation 5 Pro. We don't want to aspire to like $1,000 console. Even Phil Spencer said that, oh, we're not going to grow the industry with $1,000 consoles. Well, first of all, you're not going to grow the industry with $300 consoles, so shut the fuck up. But in reality, why not? In reality, why not a $1,000 console? Why? Yeah, it will be made for only a niche of people, but why not? Again, for me, I'm like, all of these other hobbies, all of these other ways of appreciating art, they all have like expensive niches. There's no cap, like a watch is supposedly made to tell you the time. You can get a really, really good, great quality movement Casio watch that will keep the time quite accurately for years and years and years. You can also get a Seiko, years and years and years. They will keep the time within acceptable margins. And if ever they just drift off a little bit, you just this minor calculation, then you're good again. A lot of these movements, they only drift by 30 seconds maximum at the end of a year. Those are like the really bad ones. Some of them are like by 7 seconds. But the point is this: for people that are in the hobby of appreciating watches, there is no ceiling. There are $5 million watches out there. Do you need one? Of course not. But no one is going to go there and be like, oh, I love this hobby, that's too expensive. Nah. Listen. Gaming is a hobby like any other. And it is allowed to differentiate itself on a price basis. It is. It's alright. If there was a $1,000 console, that would be okay. If Apple came out and made a $1,000 console, it would sell. We just hope that for the $1,000, it will have fair performance, a fair value proposition. We hope that it will have all of the RAM built in, and we won't have to upgrade the RAM, because oh my god, if Apple came out with a $500 console, but then you had to upgrade the RAM, dude, don't be surprised if by the end of the day the price is $2,500, because man, they love to charge for RAM. Man, my god, Jesus Christ. And storage. Oh my god, you ever tried upgrading storage on an iPhone? Oh my god, that is... Oh, every time you click on the next highest tier up, it just hurts you. Like, wow, I just wanted 512 gigs. Oof. That hurt. And then when you just look at the 2 terabyte button, you're like, oh no, I don't even want to click it. I just click it like, oh, it just kills you. It just kills you. It just kills you. Storage and RAM. Don't do it with Apple, man. Listen, don't play with them. Don't play with them. Okay, that's enough. We've had our fun. Thank you for coming back. Like I said, thank you for all those people that watched the political conversation. I still have to reply to it, but it was so exhausting. I just wanted to just take a break. So I'll reply to the comments eventually in a little bit. But yeah, y'all have fun. Y'all have fun. Go out there, celebrate the death of Xbox. Pray that it gets resurrected, just so that we have more products that are competing for our time and our money, but not so that it kind of like saves Sony from the worst, I guess, impulses of Sony. Because if Sony cannot, let's put it this way: if Sony needs another company to babysit them so that they do not behave as bad as they do, well, then maybe they shouldn't be in business in the first place. Okay. That's just it for me. Like, you shouldn't have to rely on a competitor to keep you away from your worst impulses. You should just create a fair product for the price that you're charging. Every time. Okay? I don't expect Sony to keep Microsoft in check. I don't expect Microsoft to keep Sony in check. I don't expect Nintendo to be kept in check by anyone else but Nintendo and their fan base. Because that's the end of the day. There's only two people in this room. There's a company and there's you. And like I always said, a company is allowed to charge whatever they want for their product, and you are allowed to pay whatever price you find acceptable. That's it. Those are the only two people in the room. When you are considering buying the PlayStation 5 Pro, Microsoft isn't there with you. Even if they had an Xbox Series Elite. Because then it will be you considering an Xbox. And when you're considering buying an Xbox, Sony isn't in there with you. Now, if you're only going to throw your weight behind one or the other, hey, listen. By the time you walk into a room with someone, you forget about the other competitor. If you decide you're going to get an Xbox, it doesn't matter what PlayStation does. If you decide you're going to get a Nintendo, it doesn't matter what Xbox does. It is what it is. Let's stop conflating the conversation. Let's have more honest discussions. And let's have fun while we do it. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.